Hi everyone, welcome to Java's. In this video, we are going to write a Java program which will remove duplicate files from multiple directories. So our program will accept directories or path of directories as a string and it will remove all the duplicate files. Now the duplicate files means if two files have the same content, then they are considered duplicate. How do we know if their content is identical? So for that, we can calculate their checksum, and if two files have the same checksum, then they are considered as identical files. So there are some important classes. So one class is message digest, which will be used to calculate SHA-256 checksum of any file. Then there is this path class, which is used to represent a file or directory in file system. There is another class called path, has some static methods which are used to get a path from a string. Then there is this file visitor interface, which is used to visit any file tree, or this is the starting point of the application. And we will pass the strings, or we will pass the name of the directories or path of the directories to our program using arguments. Create a set of path. So remember that path represents a file or directory in Java. Path equal to new has set, and for each directory which we received using arguments, we want to create a path from this string, because here dir is a string, but we want to create a path so that we will be able to read or write that directory or that file. So for that we can use paths class. So paths class has static method called get, which accepts string. So let's create that. Path will be paths dot get. Again we will give the directory, but this will just convert that string to a path, but it doesn't know whether this path actually exists or not. And also this may be relative or absolute path. What we want to do is we want to convert this path to absolute path, and also if this path doesn't exist, we don't want to add it to the set. So we will use a method called to real path. So if this path doesn't exist, then it will throw an exception. So we will handle that exception here. We will surround it with try catch, and we will print the stack trace here. But we don't want to terminate the program, so we will continue adding the other paths to the paths set. So let's add that here, paths dot add path. So now we have added all the paths to this set. Now in order to visit a file tree, we need to create an instance of file visitor. So file visitor is an interface. So first of all, we need to implement this interface. So let's create a class called duplicate remover, and it implements file visitor, and file visitor is a generic interface. So here the file or directory type will be path, and we need to implement four methods here. So let's implement those, and each method returns a file visit result. So if you go to definition of file visit results, it returns, it is an enum which has four values. Continue. So if we return continue, the visiting of file tree will continue in the normal fashion. If we return terminate, then visiting of file tree will be terminated. If we return a skip subtree, then all the files under this directory will be skipped. If we return a skip siblings, then all the siblings of the current file or directory will be skipped. So for the first method is pre-visit directory. So this method is invoked before visiting a directory. So we don't want to do anything here. So say just return file visit result dot continue. Then the second method is visit file. So this is invoked whenever we are visiting a file. So for now, let's just print out visiting plus file name, and let's return file visit result dot continue. The third method is visit file failed. So this method is invoked whenever we are unable to visit a file due to some reason, and the reason will be included in this exception. So let's just print the exception here. So I will say exception dot print stack trace, and after that I will just return file visit result dot continue. The fourth method is post visit directory. So this method is invoked when we are done visiting a directory. So we don't want to do anything special here. So just return continue here as well. Now we have created this class. Now let's create an instance of this class here. File visitor path visitor equal to new duplicate remover, and let's iterate over each path in the paths set. Paths dot for each, we will have path here, and we want to visit each directory. So now in order to visit, or in order to use the file visitor, we need to use files dot walk file tree method. So let's do that. Files dot walk file tree, it takes the path. This is the starting position, or this is the root of the file tree, which will be path, and this will be the instance of file visitor, and it may return some exception. So let's surround with try catch, and if we get any exception, we will just print the stack trace. So let's try to run this program for now. Compile it, and let's run it without any arguments. So we are not specifying any directory, so it won't do anything. Now let's give one directory here, dir1. So I have a directory called dir1 in the current directory. If I print the contents, you can see this. Now let's run the program again with two arguments, but both of these are same. But you can see we are visiting the file only once because we are using set. Now one more thing, let's say we are giving dir1 here, and here we are giving users Himanshu personal utilities this and dir1. So for the first directory I am giving the relative path, but for the second directory I am giving the absolute path of the same directory. Now the strings are different, but they points to the same path. So the files inside these directories should be visited only once. Let's see, and you can see that's what is happening because we are creating a path, and we are calling to real path. So it converts the path to absolute path. Okay. Now let's get to the main business, which is removing duplicate files. But before that, as I have said, we need to calculate the checksum, or SHA 256 checksum in this case. So for that we can use message digest class. Now I have not looked at how to do that, so I just found the code online how to create SHA 256 hash for a file in Java. So we can use this. So let's copy the code here, and I will create a utility class here, class util. Inside this class I will create a public static method. It will return a checksum. So checksum, and it will take a path of file. And let's paste the code here. So we don't need to create a path is already provided here. So we are reading the file here. Okay, so instead of paths.get file path, we have file path here. And let's import message digest. So we are getting an instance with this algorithm SSA 256 from message digest, and then we are getting the checksum here. So import big integer. Now we need to throw, so these methods throw some exception, so we will just add them here. Now this method must return a result, so yeah, so we will just return it. So this method will return checksum of a file. So let's calculate checksum here. So we are visiting a file and here we can calculate the checksum. So let's say string checksum equal to util dot calculate checksum, and the file path is file only. And if we get any exception here, let's surround it with try catch. We will just print the stack trace. We don't want to terminate the program. And if we don't get any problem here, then we will just print the checksum. So let's not print this here, but instead here I will print file plus and checksum. Save it, compile it again. Now let's run it with one directory. Now you can see there are two files and both have different checksums because the content of these files is different. Now let's remove again with two directories, dir1 and dir2. Now you can see the checksum of file2.log in dir2 and file1.txt in dir1 is same. So you can see they have the same checksum because the content of these two files is same. I just copied this file1.txt from dir1 to file2.log to dir2. So that's why their content is same and their checksum is also same. Now in this case we want to delete one file. So for that we need to store information somewhere that we have already seen this checksum. So where can we store that? We can store that in a set. So let's create that set here. So what we want to do is we want to create a set here, set string checksum, and wherever we create an instance of duplicate remover, public duplicate remover, then we will initialize this with empty as set. So initially there won't be anything. So whenever we create the instance of duplicate remover, we will create one empty hash set. So initially there won't be anything. So we have calculated the checksum here. Now let's not print anything here, and we will check if this checksum is already present in the checksums. This dot checksums dot contains checksum. In that case we want to delete the file, so delete file. Else if the checksum is not in the checksums set, then we want to add this checksum to the checksums. So this dot checksums dot add checksum. So that's what we want to do. Now let's see how to delete a file. So in order to delete a file, we can use files class. So let's say files dot delete, and it needs a path which will be the path of current file. Now before deleting a file, let's print some message. Deleting file, and after deleting a file, let's print a message called deleted file. Let's run it. So compile and run it. Okay, not Java C. Java move dir 1 dir 2. Now you can see it's saying deleting file1.txt in dir1 and it deleted this file. Now let's see what is in dir1 and what is in dir2. Now we run the same program again. Nothing is happening because there is no duplicate file. That's it for this video. You will find the code in GitHub repository. I will put the link in the description below. Thank you for watching it. I will see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning. Bye.